interesting time. So I'm going to just switch here, and there was a couple of questions that came through, so I'm going to quickly, someone had said, and Abby, we tried to record a video about this, but the editing kind of went haywire. So people asking about, these are people that own property, they carried paper, so they had a loan, and now they're interested in going, you know, how do I help them refinance, or is there a way to help me set them up for success so they can refinance? And so we had gone over this, what, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yes.
So basically, us as note buyers, if we're looking at a note that has been serviced by a neutral third party and the payments have been verified by a neutral third party, oh my gosh, it makes so much difference. So whether you're gonna, if you carry back a loan, whether you're gonna hold it or sell it, just get the servicing in place. And the places that it's easier to sell your note, keeps it, you know, everything clean for everyone. Plus it's basically a law with the Dodd-Frank stuff is a very, it's not worth the risk to be servicing your own consumer loans. You really need someone who's licensed to do that. And so more and more, I have made sure I'm not servicing my own consumer loans. The business purpose loans are different. The commercial loans different. There's some, you know, differences to that. But so just if you haven't already, if you haven't looked in a while, on the Note Queen site, there's a login, and then once you log in, it turns into the citizen site, and I have a links to resources, and I just this afternoon updated it. So if you want, and there's only 3 that I know of, so let me know if you know of any more. There's only 3 loan servicing companies that us owner carry people can board our loans that will report to the credit bureaus. So that their credit gets good enough so that they're set up to refinance. So the original question, this was from a guy in Israel, Gad Amit. He had emailed me this question and said, how do I, you know, find a way so that my borrowers, their credit score is getting better and better so they can refinance, then they can pay me off and I can get out of my note without a discount. So that's the point. So here you have Madison. They were back east, but now they're in Reno, right?
So they're in Reno now. They're still back east, but their satellite office is now in Jersey.
Right. Yep. And so, I mean, you know, you and I, Abby, we've got 4 or 5 that we jointly have interest in,
at least
with Madison there.
Yeah.
And so that's nice. They report to the credit bureaus. Also, you can pay them to go after. On one of our notes, we were saying, we were trying to sell it and we're going, it's just better if we can offer the guy a short payoff. So they, you know, for 3% or something of the note, they can, you know, go after a short payoff. That they declined, by the way. So we're in for the long haul on that one.
Did he?
Yeah, it was a killer deal, but it's like, we're in for the long haul. We gotta pay that down and hunker down. For
whatever, man. Compounding interest is fine by me.
Hey, you know, that'll be good for when we're a little bit older.
Yeah.
So then this one is SN Servicing. So these 2, Madison and SN Servicing, they're nationally licensed and they report to the credit bureaus. It's not only great for your borrowers, but it's good for you because it preserves the value of your note if you ever need to sell it. And also you help your borrowers get in position so that when rates drop like they are now, they can take advantage of it and refinance and get you out of it without a discount.
I would like to add one thing also is that it also, and I know you may be actually getting to this, servicing is also good for, hopefully not, but if the relationship or the you know, goes into default, the relationship goes awry, there is a third party record. So it does go to court. You are not on the hook to prove. You know, you pay someone to provide you with those records, and it becomes a lot easier to do that, especially in judicial foreclosure states.
Right, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but pretty much it's going to be tough to do any foreclosures. They're not even going to take it on unless you can prove payment history.
Yeah.
And prove the amount necessary. So it's really critical. Okay, so August REI also reports to the credit bureaus. I want to say each one of them charges about $35 a month in that range. And that might be a little bit more if there's impounds for taxes and insurance.
Yeah, Madison, 35 for impounds and everything, 20 with no impounds.
Oh, okay.
REI, 35 for just the servicing. And I think Security National Servicing, or SN servicing, is it's way more. I want to say way more. It's like the equivalent of an FCI full blown, like $45 a month, $30, 40,
Yeah,
something in that
I've
range.
got FCI here too. I use Evergreen because it's local here in Reno. All our title escrow people know Evergreen, so that's really easy to go there. Main Street Scott Note Serving Center, that's in California, but
Evergreen is actually Washington based.
Yeah, Washington based. That's true. Yeah, Washington.
And I think they were going to open an office in Sacramento, but I'm not sure if
really?
they did.
Yeah, they're in just like a handful of Western states, I think, right, Dave?
I think so.
Right. So anyway, I like them because it looks local because they've got a Reno office and it's cheap. I don't know, like 13 or 15 bucks a month. It's just super reasonable. So anyway, I've updated this quite a bit, and there's a couple broken links and things like that. So I'll come back to that a little bit later. So that's just a little bit on for that person that emailed me that question. Any other questions that come up from people that are live on the call right this minute? If not, I'm going to go through a note that just got submitted to me. And I know, hey, Abby, you and I, are we ready to go on that little Indiana note?
Yeah.
Or did something happen? I know you got the title back. But
no, I didn't get the title back.
I thought you did.
I got a string of excuses from a title company telling me how short-handed he is, and our processors are giving us pushback to move it. So we need to make a decision. I was going to call you tomorrow on that. We need to make a decision if we just want to pull it from the processing team, process it ourselves, and then take it to a new, because this guy's about to walk. I mean, he's literally about to walk. And I don't blame him. I mean, we've been.
Yeah, but a lot of things I notice are taking a long time. Like
that's what Jen said. That's what processing said. Everything's taking a long time.
I mean, I had 3 escrows that was supposed to close the first week of this month, and I'll be lucky if they close the end of this month. And that's property sales where I'm taking either a short payoff or just getting paid off.
Yeah.
But everything is just like, it's like everyone's, working through walking through tar. Okay, like super quick though, with the notes that are coming through, any comment, I think is there anything changed, Abby, from since you're a national player on volume and things like that?
Yes.
Is the volume still there?
Yes. It's exactly as described, like Megan was saying, and like David was saying. It's the same exact thing on the note side. We're seeing a rabid, last we spoke, it slowed down right around the middle of September, beginning of October, beginning of October, it just kind of slowed down. And then it like Monday or last Thursday or Wednesday, it's like the floodgates opened and we got 13 acceptances, 13 contracts signed today.
Wow.
13 out of 20 leads that we got over the past week, 13 have accepted, which is huge. Yeah. So
tell me what you think about that. What do you attribute that shift to?
I attribute it to the fact that the uncertainty and the mixed messages. We have, you cannot turn on one single media outlet and have it be consistent unless you're watching cable news, right? So cable news, and even there, you have, if you're putting, some sort of Comcast or Time Warner or something like that, like legacy media, we'll call it, you'll see some sort of narrative or consistency, still uncertainty, but there'll still be some sort of consistency in the message. And you go to another competing media outlet, which is supposed to be feeding us the information of the world, and you have this, opposing narrative. I think that people are kind of freaking out, and we got people again moving money around. Everyone is submitting, accepting, And others are saying, well, we got to see till after the election. And now I'm hearing we got to wait till after the inauguration because everyone's expecting the Supreme Court to get involved. I think everyone needs to take a deep breath and just my wife, Molly, says this to me all the time. 97% of the stuff that you worry about never comes true. How true that is. Only 3% of it, you can worry about, so my point is that we all need to take a breath. None of us have a crystal ball. We can cite and read as many articles and reports as we want to, but we just got to go one step at a time.
Yeah, thanks for that. And also, if you believe in the idea of, well, like the terms frequency or resonance, as we elevate our awareness, our consciousness, our vibration, whatever, we actually attract a whole different timeline of potential events. So it's changing all the time anyway. So based on where we're at individually and collectively, whatever timeline, it just changes all the time because any potentiality is going to be different. There's no way to predict what's going to even happen. Even if you were the best, prophet, channel, or whatever, because you don't know an event that if it happened now, would have a different effect than the global consciousness 2 months from now. So there's really no way to predict. So it's like we really have to, it's such a mind game, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, on a lot of levels, because even in our own situations with our tiny little property or our little note portfolio or something, our level of consciousness and the energy we bring to it greatly affects how it kind of works out. And
that's true. I'd like to add too, if you don't mind, that now we're on this little spiritual side note.
Yeah.
We forget that whether you're a spiritual person, a religious person, or someone who doesn't believe in any of it, you can't ignore the fact that there's science. And science in 1985 said quantum, right? No one really believed it. We now know without a shadow of a doubt that quantum physics, exactly what they said in 85, is true. And what that means is, if quantum physics is true, which it has been repeated over and over, everything is energy. It vibrates at a frequency. And our mind, our thought process is measured in electromagnetic energy, which means if you follow the laws of electromagnetic dynamics or whatever that terminology is, action grounds the electrical magnetic connection. So you can think about something all day. I want to buy a property. I want to buy a property. But if you don't take the action to do that, you're not going to ground that reality into effect. And it's just like you ground a wire in an electrical circuit. You need to close that circuit. You need to ground it. And that's exactly, I feel like it kind of contributes to the point that you're making, that we can only do as much as we want to do or choose to act on. And that's when things around us really start changing.
Yeah, thank you. I've never heard it quite put that way. I like that.
If we just follow science, you know what I mean? And the laws of, quantum physics and general relativity and all this other, stuff, and electrical, engineering, it's
right.
We are electrical magnetic receivers, period.
But to quote you from the last meetup, everything going on right now is defying the laws of physics.
Touche.
Gotcha.
Well, like for me, what that means is like I had one particular, I've had several seminars that I've had in the last 3 or 4 years. But one situation in particular where front-end partials that I bought in the Dallas to Fort Worth area, and basically they were absolute criminals. And so I've systematically for the last 3+ years been just draining the swamp in my own way, because I just had to sue them, and it just takes forever. But I don't want my borrowers to ever have the notes to revert to them, and the borrowers have to face these criminals that will never give them their houses free and clear no matter what. They mess up the titles. They charge these late fees that are often, they build up so much it's $5 per day. Like, I don't know how that's even legal, but I'm just saying sometimes the late fees that when I got the late fees were bigger than the principal balance. So anyway, just saying, like, they would go around, collect cash from them, like extort. They were treating them like cash cows, unsophisticated borrowers, and not give them credit, from loan care, which I also had to sue loan care, by the way. My goodness. So it's been quite a year. And for a long time, I had a really I was so like, how did I let myself get in this situation? Blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't have done it. Very heavy energy. And how can these people be that wicked and that evil when I had so much energy around it? And so I had lots of heaviness from it, and it was hard and slow for everything to go. But then I kind of shifted in lately of just letting the judgment all out of it. They're doing what they think they need to be doing in life. I can forgive myself for getting myself in this situation, and I can send light and love and blessings and healing and take pride and focus on those people that have thanked me profusely, or thank you so much for clearing this up for us. And thank you for clearing the title, and thank you for waiving all those late fees, and thank you, and so if I focus on those things, it just makes the whole portfolio act differently than when I've got all this heavy judgment in it. So, okay, so I just got this note through the email, and maybe you've even seen this, Abby. I'd be curious to see, because I just saw it recently. So 1.1 million in, this is is it Atlanta, Georgia? Anyway, it's a commercial type of commercial property. And there was a 400,000, and I'm assuming this is just sales price. I don't know what it's actually worth. This was sale price with 400,000 down. So basically that left a $700,000 note. So that's like basically, what was that, a 36% down? So that would be a 66% note, is that it? Oh, pretty close. It was $700,000 note like this, and they carry, so that's a decent down payment for a commercial. I don't know what their credit is, or if this was
extremely decent, assuming that the borrower did not borrow that 400,000 as a down payment.
Exactly. Where did the down payment come from?
Right.
And then what's their credit? And if it's owned in an entity, which I would expect, did they make personal guarantees, etc.? There's also a gas station associated with this. There's all sorts of EPA type things that would come into town on that, or into play in an underwriting scenario. It was amortized over 15 years. And so basically that's the note. There's been 4 payments made. So basically, you look at 6 payments. By the time you close on this thing, there would be how many payments left? 174. So the balance would be like 685. So basically, what would you think on this? Have you seen this? Did this come through, Abby, to you? So I don't know. I mean, it just depends. To me, I like to be at 50. I'm really conservative, but 50 cents ITV on land, commercial, especially those marijuana deals that we did in California. You keep actually I like those to be below 40 if I can on that now. But what would you say the going rate? Because if I was looking at this and I was trying to sell this to someone, I would think my investor would want something like 16 to 18%. Am I wrong?
I think that's private cost of capital. Yes, you're not wrong if you're tapping the privates.
Right. So on a private. So if I was bringing someone in, that's basically they're paying 50 cents on the dollar.
I think if we brought in institutional, we can get that up to about 450, 475. I would see more along the lines of a 12.5, 13, 14% return. There it is.
Wow, good guess. Okay, so 475 divided by 698. What the heck did I just do?
I want to say, while you're doing that, I want to say that that's going to require a personal guarantee with a 650 credit score or higher.
Or higher of
If
the
there's no-
owners of the,
Mhm.
yeah, so basically, that's a really good offer, and that's still a 32% discount. That's not even counting the broker's fees, closing costs, due diligence, all that,
Mhm.
right? So,
But that would require recourse. That would require confirmed credit. That would require, like, they want all the boxes checked for something, under 13% on a jumbo asset like this. If not, then you're talking 16, 17, 18% all day long, no matter where you go.
right. And so since that's a really 50 cents on a performing loan where someone just put down 35%, that seller's not going to probably be very happy about that. Even 475, the 32% discount, that's going to feel horrible to them. So I go, let's just figure out a 60-month partial and even knock it up to 20. So we have, because the shorter the term, the higher the yield you need, because it's really not worth time to do the deal because of that short amortization. So I would knock it up to at least 20% and go, okay, for the next 5 years. And then this has got to be inclusive of everyone getting paid. So I don't know. So the next 5 years, blah, 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 you can get 210. Yeah. 210 for the next 5 years. You keep the rest of it or sell the next, we'll buy the next 5 years in tranches, structured sort of a sale. Mm-hmm. Which I would much prefer to do these, even when, I'm so glad some of these that I bought partials of and my exposure was low. When we get into weird markets and years like this, you're so glad when you've been a little more on the conservative side because you don't have to sweat it. Just don't have to sweat it. So anyway, I'll collaborate with you on that if I can get enough control of it. Unfortunately, sometimes when it's brought to me by anyone besides you or someone who's very sophisticated, it turns into it's very hard to make a deal close when you don't have someone who's very sophisticated working with the note seller directly. So
that's right.
But I thought,
May I ask, what's the city? Do we know the city of this?
I'll talk to you later on it.
Okay, sure. Okay.
All right. So I brought that up as an example. That's one that to me possibly makes sense. Whatever happened on that other one in the marijuana deal we quoted in California? Did that ever go anywhere? Remember the 320 for the full and the
yes, it was he took it very personal, that offer, and he told me where to stick it. So I mean, he really took it personal, and I tried to explain to him it was not personal, man. It's mathematics, and he didn't know. He hasn't found any because we specialize in that market. There's no one else. There's no one else out there that does that. Right. We are the only ones. So he didn't have a context when he approached us.
Yeah. So
it happens.
Thanks for taking the heat on that one. All right.
But we have a follow up, so I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back.
Right. Okay. Axel, can I just touch base? Have you seen anything that we can bring up or should address right at this moment before I dive into a next segment? Because we're already at 7:10. So we just got 15, 20 minutes left to go. Axel?
Brandon sent over a question to Abby related to the massive buildup of default notes. Do you want, Abby, did you see that message from Brandon?
I did, and you were asking about the default, and I think I had mentioned, right, so what makes me say that? Right, so Brandon's question on the chat was, is there going to be a mass buildup after spring 2020 once delinquency clocks start ticking again into 2022 and beyond? And my answer is yes, and it may actually appear a little bit differently. I'm not, I don't want to make this too long-winded because I know we want to move on to other things, but this is an important topic. There are certain contracts that the federal government, Fannie and Freddie specifically, the GSEs, have that expire next year. They don't want for mass foreclosures on their watch. Otherwise, the federal government will be on the hook. So I feel like there's everything, and we see it happening with the special purpose vehicles buying up junk bonds and the BlackRock's scheme of things, and how governments and corporations are holding the tsunami at bay. We all see that happening right now. So the same thing's happening in the distressed loan industry. But the reason I mentioned commercial, think about it, Brandon, and everyone that has this question on their mind, you're going to, with COVID, we can assume, and to just read the terrain, COVID is wreaking havoc on businesses. Businesses have to pay rents to commercial properties. Commercial landlords are going to start panicking, or strategic defaults are going to occur. And that is going to lead to a tsunami, in my opinion, of commercial default non-accrual paper. Now, a lot of that will be scooped up by, like, I think, by a lot of foreign investment, national American investors, hedge funds, so forth and so on. But there will be a time where there will be a tsunami of these commercial assets that hit the market. And I said this before, I'm sticking to this. It's not going to look like 2008, where you have a distressed mortgage or a toxic mortgage problem. What you're going to have here is an unemployment problem, which is different. It's going to look different. And I feel that the last that are going to be touched in this reset, this monetary reset, are going to be the owner-occupied single-family homes. I think the pecking order is going to be commercial, multifamily, non-owner-occupied non-owner-occupied single families, like the Airbnb hosts and that kind of stuff, and then eventually owner-occupied single families. But the difference is, just like California, I think I'm talking out of school here, so fact check me on this, but the state of California just mandated who gets first crack at the foreclosures. And it's most certainly not the same people that had first crack last time. So they're giving first crack to borrowers who are already in default to buy themselves out at a discount. And that's become California law, or it's on the Senate floor, or it was just passed, or something like that. And we're going to see that trend where the government's going to step in, or some local governments and state governments are going to step in and start building up borders on how to bottleneck the market, which is the opposite of free market. So we're going to see things happen differently. I think most of the opportunity is going to be in non-accrual seconds and non-accrual commercial.
And provided we keep the constitutional republic where we do have personal property rights. Okay, everything hinges on that. Okay, so just going ahead to, I want to switch, since we've got 15 minutes left. So I want you to take about 10 minutes, Abby, and talk about, you mentioned it in the beginning, we were talking about the IMF in the last 48 hours has started things in motion that everyone's sort of been expecting, but it's like, oh shit, it's here now. And then, things that are rolling out really quickly, and things that can either be really positive or really not so positive.
That's correct.
So why don't Ken, you got some stuff up on your screen that ready to go?
I do. A lot of them are videos, right? So a lot of them are, video information.
So I don't care. We don't have to listen to the whole video, but let someone see your laptop, what kind of things you're looking at. Okay, this one talks about this. This one talks about this. Is that all right? So go.
Do you guys see my screen here?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Okay, well, I can't. Okay.
Yes.
So
what I have called
this young lady here is the managing director of the IMF. And I am going to go ahead, like I said, and put this on a screen on the chat here. But this right here is the IMF. As you can see, it's the IMF's YouTube channel, Building Forward Better, Build Forward Better Speech, blah, blah, blah. It's basically a new Bretton Woods monetary renegotiation. Now they're using terms here like our relief to emerging nations, and all this. When they talk about relief, that's code word for loans. They're basically going to create money. They're going to do helicopter drops of money into these, troubled areas, and they're going to tie or collateralize that loan to the natural resources of the country that is so it's very simple. It's like mortgage investment, right? So these are recourse loans secured by the oil in your ground, or the seafood in your coastlines, or your power grid. So if you default, and these are 40% interest rates, by the way, if you default, we will then nationalize your power grid, and so it's not as altruistic as it sounds. That being said, there's a lot of movement, and this is not speculative because it's coming out of this woman's mouth. If you watch it and you understand, and I'm going to put different videos up, like this one here, which is so this guy right here, his name is Simon Dixon, and this good-looking young man here is a monetary historian, a monetary activist who is pro-Bitcoin and he's pro-freedom. He's anti-socialistic, anti-communistic, and he's not necessarily, a revolutionary. He just talks about very simple monetary policies and makes it very clear that we are moving into this global socialist society where he predicts in the very near future, in the next 11, 12 years, we're going to start hearing terminology like 100% tax. Think about that, 100% tax, which is nationalization and socialism. I mean, that's how they're going to market it. And this is going to be to close the equality gap, to close the gender gap, to close all of the fancy buzzwords. And that is how they're going to sell this. We're already seeing it. And, you got to understand, when you watch this very long 40-minute video, very dense, he will break down for you the code language that the IMF woman uses, the managing director, this young lady here uses. So he goes through this video and he breaks down what she's saying in a very easy to understand way. And in addition to that, we also have other investors like this guy here, Raoul Pal, who is a investor and a well-respected hedge fund manager. He does digital analytics for monetary policy and investment globally. He's dialed in. He is a Bitcoin evangelicus, and he basically, even more simply, breaks down what it means when they start talking about DCBC, which is decentralized, digital currency, central bank digital currency, CBDC, central bank digital currencies. You're going to hear a lot more of that. When you subscribe and allow central bank digital currencies, because that's the only way, there's no more stimulus. There's no more tricks up the central banker's sleeve. The only other option at this point, which this man breaks down, will be one day you're going to, and China's already doing it. They just started doing it last week. I should have had a link for this, but you can look it up at the Epoch Times, or Epoch Times as it's called, is a good source for honest Chinese news. It's a Chinese-based media organization that's not friends with the Chinese Communist Party. Let's put it to you that way. So they give a fair analysis, but China's central bank started doing it last week, where they're trying to get cash off the street and they're replacing it with digital currency or digital yuan. And what happens is what China's doing is taking 100,000 people and they're doing a lottery. And one day, a gentleman or a young lady in China will get a call, and they'll say, hey, we want to give you $50,000 equivalent in yuan, and we want to send it to your bank account. But you have to go to the, AliExpress or Alipay, app store, and you have to download this app, and you have to agree to the terms and agreements of that app, and then we will deposit the money into your wallet right on the app. And everyone's like, wow, that's free money. Sounds great. Not great, because what that means now is they can track everything you do. Digital currencies equal slavery, period. Again, I'm going to say that. Digital currencies equal slavery. And I'm not talking about slavery in the traditional sense. I'm talking about debt slavery. It is not a good thing. It unfortunately is the way we're going. And a lot of people will go, okay, Abby, what do we do? How the hell do we, combat this? The only way to combat this at this point, the only real way where you can come out just like so much stronger and probably multiple times wealthier is invest in non-debt-based assets. I'm not talking like real estate, because real estate, if you don't pay your real estate taxes, the real owner of that real estate's going to show up and take your property. That doesn't happen with bars of gold. That doesn't happen with bars of silver. That doesn't happen with Bitcoin. So you want to at least allocate some of your portfolio into non-debt-based assets. That's the overall pitch here. Is everyone has to open their eyes and be aware that while we're full of rage, I hate this one and I hate him and I hate her and the elections and America sucks and Russia sucks and whatever, as we're pointing fingers at each other, there's an elitist movement that at the highest echelons, the bank leads the charge. It's called the B. They dictate to the central banks the playing field, which is all controlled right now by the de facto currency, the United States dollar. This is all changing. So while we're pointing fingers at each other, there are very long arms reaching into our pocket and stealing our money. And then there's other very long arms, signing on the dotted line and erasing freedoms globally. This is a problem. So the only way, and not saying we're going to stop it, the only way to combat it is to pivot. And the way you pivot is the same way you did before. You vote with your dollars. That's the only way we really have a voice. So you vote for your dollars. You vote with your dollars. And allocating money to cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, precious metals. You still want to invest in notes. You still want to invest in real estate. Absolutely. You're still going to see that chunk of change, but you want to be prepared, because one day we're all going to wake up and we all very well may have apps or messages on our phone saying Bank of America is no more. It was too big to fail. It collapsed. And if you want the $85,000 that was in your account, no problem. All you need to do is download this app, and then you will have a direct access to central banks. This is a central bank power grab, where right now we have some sort of an open source system. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Federal Reserve, Bank of China, International Monetary Fund, but Bank of International Settlements. So there's still some sort of diversity in the banking system overall, and they're not all aligned. Right now, the central banks see national United States banks and EU banks and Australian banks as in the way. And the only way to get rid of it is to strangle them with their own systems. And it's very easy to do, because the stress tests, as we know, will not survive their own stress tests. So it's very easy to kick the leg out of a bank that's juggling the world on their shoulders. All you got to do is, sweep the leg, Johnny, if you're a Karate Kid fan, and, it's all over. And your money's not going to be lost, because they need you. They just don't need that banker in the way. And that's really the long and the short of it here. I also want to.
And just to add another layer of that, so if they seduce you with literally free money, helicopter money,
yes.
If you tap into this, add another layer. That means if they give it to you, they can easily take it away. And also, it could become to where if you don't agree to be chipped with their RFID COVID vaccine that they're trying to fast track, maybe you won't have access to your money if you're not willing to be controlled completely. And they're trying to make it a cashless society. And it's really it seems sci-fi, but it is rolling out right now in China.
Diabolical.
And even right now, we can't even, some places, this mandatory mask wearing thing, you could say this is just foreplay for mandatory vaccination, which to me is the civilization defining what it means to be human conversation that's going to be hitting us really soon in the coming months.
Part of the terms and conditions in the Chinese app is you have to succumb to a vaccine in order to get your money.
Right.
Yeah. Also,
question. Can I ask a quick question about this? And I completely agree with you. I've been reading a lot about this. Of course, the central bank or the World Bank has been usurping countries like this for years.
Right.
But we are headed that way. So what I don't understand, and maybe I'm stupid here,
Mhm.
if you have gold and silver,
Mhm.
what good does the gold and silver do you?
That's a great question. That's an absolutely great question. It is a hedge. You're betting against the future. It is just in case. So why would a prepper prep, a storage facility full of food, because they're hedging against a dismal future, right? So what happens if the only way to stop digital currencies is to cut the power, cut the internet? That's going to be a problem, even for the folks in charge. You can't do that. But let's say that you can't use your Bitcoin. The only thing you have is your physical gold. Now, maybe physical gold won't have any value if we're living in a Mad Max world. Maybe you should buy barrels of vodka and caffeine and coffee. Those would trade a lot easier.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. But so here's my answer to that. What good is physical gold? You and I can go back in time right now, get in a time machine, and we can jump back to 5300 BCE into the dynastic period of Egypt, we'll call it. And we can pull out a gold eagle, 1 ounce American 99% gold eagle, and a fancy suit, a nice toga, a nice leather sandals, the whole shebang, right? And then you and I can jump in that same time machine and come to 2020, and then we can go to Nordstrom, and with that same $2,000 gold ounce token or coin, we can go to Nordstrom and we can buy a fancy suit, nice leather belt, nice shoes. It is the only currency that has held its value without any fail for millennia.
Yes.
That is why I'm betting on precious, specifically gold. A lot of people, you can do a lot better with silver. There's definitely a lot more money to be made there. I'm not a big silver bull. I want to hold $50,000 in one hand, as opposed to, you have silver, you got to have a whole room of security, because with precious metals, now you're responsible for protecting that. I mean, that's a pain in the neck. That's why we give Wells Fargo what we give them, to protect our wealth, right? So we don't have to think about it. We outsource it. But the moment you put that $100 bill into an ATM as a deposit, legally speaking, that money is no longer yours at all. So if they decide that they want to do a bail-in, which is on the books, where they can plunder your account so they don't crash and burn, one day you wake up and you're told to fill out the, Wells Fargo or Bank of America failed, download the terms and conditions, go down to your local clinic, get a vaccine. Oh, by the way, it's, we're still testing on it, but you'll get your $4,000. And you can say, excuse my language, F you, I got Bitcoin. I don't need your filthy money. It puts you back in the driver's seat. And you don't have to buy one Bitcoin. You can buy, right now I have, we have, I should say, a set amount, $500 a month, automatically gets purchased on the 20th of every month. We have it for a set amount of time. We're kind of testing that. But if you take 21 million Bitcoin as the only will ever be mined in the entire, say 2140 will be the last Bitcoin will be mined. We can see monetary policy through the code of Bitcoin for the next 140 years. The Federal Reserve can't do that. And we know what's coming. It's deflationary. It's non-debasable. It's non-confiscatable. You can cross international borders with just a passcode. I mean, there's so many different positives, and there's negatives, of course. It's definitely being manipulated now. It can't be manipulated from within, but the way that they manipulate it is they go onto all of their news organization allies, and then they run interference. And they go, Bitcoin sucks. And then everyone goes, oh my God, Bitcoin sucks. And they start selling. And then so they can control our perception, control Bitcoin. So the more informed we stay, the less likely that is to work, those Jedi mind tricks.
Aren't there some other digital coins competitors to Bitcoin?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great question, and for more things, but we're going to wrap this up. And just thanks for that, Jane. That was excellent. And Abby, just to punctuate the Bitcoin conversation, that is blockchain technology versus digital currency controlled by
Correct.
the
So
central
digital,
banker.
distributed
But-
ledger.
Okay, I'm not going to let you go very far there, but just remind everyone what you told me. Who bought a
Oh yeah, right here. Am I
big
sharing my screen?
bunch of Bitcoin just before the IMF?
Just 48 hours before the IMF made their thing. Bitcoin, now owned by the world's most famous banking family of Rothschild. So
they knew.
they knew it was coming. Now they don't own a lot. They only own 200. But that's the only thing that they're telling us that they own, and they don't actually own the actual coins. They bought it through Grayscale Investments LLC, which is Bitcoin in the form of stocks. Now, that being said, I believe, and a lot of people out there that are in this industry believe, that they've been buying for many, many, many years, but this is the first time to bring it to the attention of everyone because it's time.
So and also, Abby, while you're there, and since you have the screen, why don't just a couple of places. Coinbase is very user friendly for a new person.
Coinbase
is really easy to start.
Right.
Very easy to start. It has a little higher fees, but it's
Worth
very user friendly. And then the Cash app on my phone, I just bought 0.15 Bitcoin today through my Cash app on my phone, and it's super simple.
PayPal. Now, starting in January, you're going to be able to go into any 7-Eleven, go to an ATM, pop $100 in, and then get a Visa card out with Bitcoin on it.
Yeah, that's wild.
So the adoption, they're called Bitcoin on-ramps. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, this here. A fintech company, the state of Wyoming, 15 days ago, gave this company a banking license. They are now banks. This is the future of banking. Kraken is now a bank. Checking accounts, savings accounts, auto loans. It's all coming. And you're going to be able to park your Bitcoin, like BlockFi is another one where you can take your money and you can put it on this exchange, this company right here, and you can earn just by taking your $10,000 you have sitting in Wells Fargo, you can put it on BlockFi and you can earn 8% a year just by parking your money here. The difference is that it's not FDIC insured, but what they fail to tell you is that only 1% of the banks in the country are FDIC insured.
Right. So most of the deposits are not insured.
Yeah.
And basically I'm going to take this back. Can you unshare your screen? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Abby.
Yes.
Yeah, this reminds me of Dave. Last month you were talking about for the first time ever, in a chapter 13, all of a sudden you get a 30-year note out of one that should have been only 5 years. Well, this is the same type of thing that they can do, is take our funds and say, you're going to get it, but in a different form or in a form of equity, and we'll give it to you when we can, and this many increments, over the years. So it reminds me of that. So I'm going to go ahead and just end up with something that's near and dear to my heart as a mother, and I hope to be a soon-to-be grandmother. So it concerns me greatly when we can talk about our assets, when we can't control those, they can be robbed. So we hedge our bets with this, and this, so that we have something no matter what happens, if at all possible. But to me, if you don't have the sovereignty of your own body, this is the most egregious offense and crime against humanity. And what I think that we is a global humanity with this basically this what I call a pandemic. And I am just going to share a couple of things. I have some updated links at the bottom of here for a soft, if you're new to the idea, and if you can't handle it, the cognitive dissonance is too much, and you have to stay in denial. I get it, because this is not easy stuff to face. I mean, when you realize that there is a very sinister and very large and deep and well-connected, for centuries they've been pulling the strings of this planet, and they still do. It's really depressing, and it's like, oh well, what can we do? But the human spirit, once we realize who we are and we connect with each other, all that innovation and all that will come out. but a soft way to be introduced to this cabal, this Illuminati, the things that have lived in the realm of conspiracy theory. In my mind, everything conspiracy theory. This movie that came out years ago is a very easy introduction to the concept of how the world has been set up and is working. Outer Shadows, they got, so as if you know, hopefully you know, there's been just a massive amount of censorship going on YouTube, Twitter, accounts being deleted. A lot of the people that I have followed, all of a sudden their channels are disappearing. Even websites have been taken down and different things. So you just got to be on it. So if you're interested in this, don't wait long. Go to these links really soon. Download the movies. Outer Shadows is a great one to really understand how public opinion is being shaped, how they've done the social programming. This is one I watched this morning. It blew my mind. I thought, because vaccinations scare me. My kids, my grandkids. I mean, I would please ask anyone who's very dubious and to please watch this. It's only 75 minutes. Watch this movie and poke holes in it and tell me what you don't buy, what you think's wrong. And I really want to know. I want to know how you can watch this and not, if you're going, this is all bullshit, and here's why, and why. I'd love to really know that from you, because this is of prime importance to me, that we have sovereignty, because the vaccines that actually, luckily, their narrative is starting to fall apart, and the front runners for the vaccine, the trials are going so badly, and they're causing so much damage that they're having to shut down their trials. So the three front runners for the vaccines have actually had to shut down their trials because of such terrible side effects and damage that's being done to the participants in the study. So I'm very happy about that, and more people are waking up. And I just there's just a whole different story to health, and this is extremely, so watch this please, and then poke holes in it and tell me why. And I'm serious about that. Other things that I would suggest, this is huge, Great Barrington Declaration. This is thousands of an epidemiologist signing on to this declaration. You can read that. We saying what's going on. We'll have this guy, Reiner Full, I don't know, Crimes Against Humanity. So basically, he's suing the World Health Organization, who recently, not that long ago, came out and said, oh, wait, we changed our mind. Now we don't agree with the lockdown. So we have seen flip-flopping from the WHO, from the CDC, from, it's just such a circus out there. So to me, what I love about it is such an obvious shenanigans that this can help people wake up to the idea that, wait a minute, maybe things are not as they seem. And you start to question and start to take more control and old sovereignty over your body, over your, and your mind, things like that. We've got America's Frontline Doctors. They got censored terribly, but they're back on here. There was a couple, this is another thing, USANA died. And as soon as somebody comes out with these things, they're censored. So since the media, watch these things, Outer Shadows, watch that, and watch this one. And then you'll start to understand why it's really hard to get the truth out. So anyone who's being massively censored and oppressed, they're probably telling the truth, because why would all these huge media corporations spend all this time on baseless conspiracy theories if they weren't over the mark?
Absolutely. And may I also add that I just added a link, Dawn, to back up what you're saying here, because I did a little research. So the Barrington Declaration, I just posted a video here in the chat. The three major scientists, Stanford, Oxford, Harvard, they give a 30-minute and then explanation of COVID from a Dr. Kaufman in April 2020 explains the issues. Remember, we were talking about the Koch postulates. These Koch postulates are a test that doctors and scientists use since the 1800s to test and isolate viruses, replicate it, make sure that the virus is infecting everyone the same way. That this guy Kaufman, again, that I just posted here, he explains why that's so important, and he's pointing out we're not using this. All of a sudden, we're throwing science out the window. So I just posted those there as well.
Yeah, thank you. And then someone in our on my list say, hey, watch this. This is another global doctors alliance. So all these things are springing up everywhere, just saying everyone's calling BS to it, because basically you've got the poverty has doubled, the amount of kids going hungry in the world has doubled, suicides have just gone through the roof, and actually the death rate from COVID is less than what's caused by the medical errors that you get. I mean, almost any other cause. So there's really, it's really, when I see so much of the narrative based upon the presumption of this pandemic, mind-boggling to me. And even the CDC out with studies, and they keep trying to spin it different ways, but I don't know if I have it up on here, but basically, wow, I lost track of my things. But wearing masks is actually the people that test positive for COVID. Take 100. Let's say the most recent people test positive for COVID. New cases. 70% of them always wear a mask. If you add the other 14% that usually do, that's 84% of the people that test positive, new cases, are going to be people that were very religious about the mask wearing. And only 4% of those people would be the ones that never wear it, because Mother Nature and air and sunshine has a way of dealing with it. And on my blog, I actually went over, in the surgical setting, masks even cause more infection than not wearing a mask, which I found to be absolutely stunning. 65 plus and older also are ones who mostly got the flu shot every year. So I'm saying some really crazy things that you know, a lot of the narrative out there has become very violent, and people who don't wear masks, they think they should be killed or beat up or put in concentration camps. I mean, that's how crazy it's getting out there. So I'm so hopeful to just poke holes in this, because the narrative is unraveling. It doesn't make sense. And the reaction to, you know, what we had happen is completely, you know, gonzo. So I'm just going to leave that, because if we don't protect our sovereignty, our liberties, and the ability to think and get our minds out of this matrix of control, which you will see very clearly if you will watch those 2 documentaries. And if you don't like it, tell me. Seriously, I want the honest debate. I really do. But what I want to see is, I want to see healthy people. I want to see laughing people. I want to see their faces. I want to see their crooked teeth. I want to see their scar on their cheek. I want to see the boogers in their nose. I'm seriously, I miss seeing people's faces so much. And so that's what I want to focus on, is seeing faces, and like these happy ones that I've been able to see of you guys tonight. So thank you very much for joining and being a part of this. We did go long, but wow, I didn't get bored 1 second. I hope nobody else did. And I thank you very much. And, you know, be safe and choose freedom over slavery. This is Don Rickaba with NoteQueen.com, and we will catch you next time. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.